Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to expand our window to take a little bit more information and set it up to work in future lessons to make this tool a little bit more flexible. So what we want to do, I didn't open up my dice file. Let's do that really quick. Okay, so, oops, let's copy this one and paste it in there. Run it. Right now we just have the roll die. So what we want to do is add another line here with a field where we can type in a number, and when we click on when we have that number, it will feed it into our code and make more dice and have it give us a random value and lay them out in a line across the screen. So for this lesson, what we're going to do is just set that process up to start working, and then we are going to do the actual functionality of it in future lessons. So let's take a look at how to do that. So let's add another field here, another item inside of our GUI. So mc.int field. And inside of the int field, we want to have a minimum value of 1 because we don't ever want to have 0 or negative dice for this program to work. And then we can set a value of 1. So that's just going to be the default value that the Windows sets that is inside of the int field to start off with. That way, it always has something. It's not just blank because we do need something for it to run. So let's go back into Maya and test this. We have an int field. And we have a number. Obviously, it's not going to work in doing anything yet because we haven't told it how to work yet. But for a user, this might be a little bit kind of difficult to understand because there's no description of what this field is. So let's add a little bit of text before this, and we're going to have to add a row layout if we want to put two things next to each other, because we could see that inside of this window that when we created another one, it just puts it in order inside of the column layout, one on top of the other. So the row layout will let us put things next to each other. So mc.row layout. And inside of the row layout, we want to be able to tell it how many items we want in that row. So the name of that is number of columns, which the shorthand flag for that is NC. And then we're going to say it's equal to 2 because we want two things in there, one the text and then 2 the field. mc.text, and the text we want is to ask number of dice. And then it's going to put the int field immediately after that. The only problem is that it's reading this, and you'll see that we'll run this and it will actually error out because it thinks that the button is part of the row layout, and it says, hey, wait, there's too many things in the row layout. You said there were only going to be 2 columns. So we fixed that by doing mc.setParent, and inside of parentheses and inside of quotation marks, we put 2 dots. So that's going to set the parent up the hierarchy to the column layout. So let's test this. Here. Cool. That works. So that's a little bit more understandable for people who are going to be opening up this script and don't know what's going on. They can see this immediately and know how many dice is what you want to put into this field, and then you click the button and it rolls the dice. Okay, so we want to be able to send that value out into the button press so that we can use it inside of the other sections. The only problem is that when it's reading this right now, when it goes through here, if we were to add this argument into the command, it's going to take the default value of 1. We want it to be able to wait. So in order to be able to wait, we have to import our functools, which are going to give us some more libraries, or it's going to give us a library that gives us control of when we're going to send out that information. So import functools. And then we're going to do functools.partial. And we're going to send BP. And then we have to tell it what the argument is. So with this int field, we need to set it on a variable. So we're going to call this num dice is equal to that. And then we're going to want to send out the num dice here. And since we're sending that out now, we have to add it here into the arguments. So we're going to say num dice, comma, args, because the button press is still going to send out the arguments, and we're going to send the number of dice here. And then from here, we want to send the number of dice into the roll. Let's call this n dice. Then n dice. And then again, we're going to have to send that all the way up to here, so that way it knows how many dice we're going to randomize. And we'll call this num of dice. Okay. Let's do one more thing in here, and then we'll end it. End this lesson and continue on in future lessons to actually get this working. But this will be kind of the end of the process of setting up the information to get it to where we need it. So here we're going to add n dice val, and that is going to be equal to mc.int field, and we're going to query this value that was sent to us, and that's going to be n dice. and we're going to tell it that we want to query, and query just means to search it. 1 for true. And after we tell it that we want to query, we need to tell it what we want to query. And in this case, we want the value. So we're going to put v for value equals 1, which means true. We can type it all the way out, value, and we can type in query, but this is just the shorter hand. So now that we get that, here, instead of indice, we're going to do indice val. So that's going to send the indice value, which is whatever is inside of that int field. Cool. So let's copy this and make sure it runs. And if we roll, oh, I misspelled int field. So let's check that int field. Let's try that one more time. Roll. Cool. It works. So in the next lesson, we are going to be looking at more of how to get this to loop over and over so that we can create more dice and get the random values that we want to show up and get this whole functionality of being able to get more dice rolled. Okay, we'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.